Hello everyone, welcome to Exciting Knowledge channel, and today we are going to see about init method and as well as the object lifecycle in Python. So without wasting any time, let me tell you what an init method is. So the init method is a special method in Python. It is often referred to as a constructor. It's called automatically when a new instance of a class or you can say the object is created. It allows you to initialize basically the object attributes with the when the object is created. Now this is the initial essential as well as the initialization part of the object creation as well as the managing the object lifecycle. Now when we are talking about this you can say init method, we have what we call, or rather if I have to write or tell someone, I will say init method is automatically invoked when a new object of class is created. Basically this is what I will say init method is. So init method does what? Init method basically initialize the whole class the moment a new object is created from the defined, you can say, class of your code. And also when you can say you use it to set up the initial state of an object by initializing its attribute. Now talking about this example here that you are seeing in my screen, that means the class student here, and the student class contain an init method, right? And it takes some arguments such as self, name and marks. Now the self refers to the current instance of, or you can say, the object of the class. That means this self here is, you can say, is something that defines the, you can say, the class, and as well as it also defines the instance of this class, basically the object itself. So the other parameters are name and marks in it. Now what are basically how this name and marks are going to be, you can say, utilized. So whenever we are defining an object, we must, or you can say, we can pass or we should pass these two values of a student whenever we are trying to call the class itself, or you can say while creating the objects. Now the example that we have seen until now is that, let us say we are creating two students, s1 and as well as s2, right? What we does is we does something like this: student, its name, I will say my name here for now, as well as my marks. I will 100. Of course, it's me. I'm going to mark myself as full marks. Now, student 2 is going to be someone like Rahul, and his marks, let's say 99. Yeah, by giving someone low marks, of course, it is going to be below me. So, as you can see here, what's happening is that whenever you are calling a student here, it takes two argument. But you must be seeing that when we are defining a class, there are no such, you can say, the similar argument creation like a function definition. So here, instead of that, what we are doing is we are creating a init method, and that init method indicates that, okay, whenever this class is going to be called, or you can say whenever the instance for this class is going to be made, there should be these two parameters that must be present at the initialization, or you can say the you can say instance creation. While the creation of instance, we must pass two arguments to the, you can say, the class, and that are the name and as well as the marks of a student. So now, as you know, when we try to print this S1 as well as S2, it is going to return something like the location. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So what it is going to do is it is going to give us some kind of location here. As you can see, this is the S1 student and this is the S2 student. And in the last few videos, it must be clear that okay, these two instances are independent of each other, right? But the the good thing to see here is that both the instances have some similar, you can say, methods in it, or you can say the similar attributes to it, and these are nothing but the parameters that we have passed in it. Now, how to, you can say, get the feel of what is happening at the back, or you can say under the hood. So to get the feeling of what happening under the hood, you can say that, okay, I don't want to pass the parameter as it is. I will say, okay, then you can do what? You can just say init here, and in the init, I'm going to pass the self here. Of course, the self is not needed because we are already calling this student here. I'm just going to pass the name, and that is as well as my marks. Now here you can see it is taking the student here too. So what we are going to do is we are just going to say student, and this student is going to be the S1. Now what happened here? I hope that it must be clear to everyone that when I say okay, I want to create a student S1 here, and when I try to basically run this program, what is going to happen? It is just I have written this program because to basically get you to know what is happening. So the class student is initialized with what? The instance name, and that is S1, as well as the, you can say, the attributes of this instance and the name and the marks, right? So now this is what the init method is all about. Now when we are talking about object lifecycle, so the object lifecycle typically involves four steps. The first step is, rather than typing the whole thing, let me just copy and paste that. So these are the basic, you can say, the object lifecycle that is present. Maybe we should do that here. Yeah, that is looking good. So here, as you can see, the first thing that came to the object lifecycle is the object creation, right? That is when we initialize, or you can say when we basically when we create the instance of a class, that is when object is created, right? Now the initialization is the method, or you can say the next step, and that is initialization. Now this while in this step, what is happening is after creating the object, the init method is going to be executed, right? And it is going to set the object's initial state here, and the uses method, and the next thing that is going to do is the users. That means how this basically object is going to be used. That means what are the methods, attributes are present in the object, and you can say how we can access them and use them. That is all it needs. And the last step is destruction. That means when the object is no longer in use, we are going to clean up, or you can say the Python automatically handles the cleanup via underscore underscore del, underscore method or garbage collection. So this is the main, you can say, the object lifecycle that any object could have. Now, by example for such is, let's say we have a code that I am going to show you. So here is the code. Wait a second. Let me just delete my terminal. Yeah. So here you can see we have created a class student here. Of course, it is the same class as the previous one, but now in this I have created an additional method, and that is display. Now, what is going to be happen at the display? So rather than seeing what is going to happen at display, let's start by the, you can say, the life cycle first step, and that is the object creation. So when we say, okay, S1 is this, that means the Rahul and the marks is called, the Python creates a new student object every time, right? And this new student is going to automatically involve, or you can say invokes, uh, the init method and initializes the name and the marks attributes for that particular instance. And the similar happens for the S2 student. Now, what type of message that is printed during the object creation phase, or you can say due to the print or in the init, is that student Rahul is created with marks 85. So this is kind of something that you can see that, okay, what is happening is a student is created in our, you can say, database, or you can say any kind of instance, and his marks is 85 and his name is Rahul. So this is what init method does. Now the next part is init object as a part of object lifecycle. Now we have created an object, of course, and the object has some attributes, that is name and marks. Now how these attributes are going to assign to each, you can say assign to a specific index, as well as how to, you can say, specify that, okay, every time the name is going to be the first one and the marks is going to be the next. So this kind of thing is basically handled by the init object. So when object is created, or you can say when a student is creating, the student Rahul 85 is getting executed, and Python allocates memory for the object and for init. So of course there is nothing else to explain from this line. Now the initialization part initializes the name and the marks are set up using the argument passed during the object creation. Not talking about the uses. Now let's say we have created a student, or you can say we have created two students here in case, and we want to print that, okay, what is the name of the student as well as what is the marks of the student. And for that we have created a display method, you know, and this display method interact with the attributes of the, you can say, student class, and at last it is going to print us some you can say details. Now to show you that, let me just run this program, and as you can see, this by default init statement, or you can say statement that is put in this init statement, it actually says, okay, the student Rahul is created with marks 85 as well as student Anita is created with marks 92. And when we call this display method, it actually says, okay, the name for the S1 student is Rahul and his marks is 85, and the same for Anita. Now what is happening here, what happening here is that after it, you can say, it does the process for you can say Rahul and 85. Basically after initialization of these values, it displays the result. Now talking about the deletion phase, right, the Python automatically deletes object when they are no longer using use, or you can say typically when they go out of scope, or you manually delete them using the del keyword. Now what if we can create some kind of, you can say, method like a init method, and we can self-destruct the details from that. Now for that, we have something called as underscore underscore del method. Now when I say define underscore underscore del underscore underscore, and then say and pass the self into it, what we are going to say is print student self dot name is being destroyed. Now when I try to, you can say, run this thing here, now there are two things that is going to happen. As you can see, after, you can say, after there is no use of this method, or you can say these instances, the del keyword is being executed on its own, and it self destroys the instances that are not in the use. And if, let's say, if you don't want something like this, so what you can do is you can just manually say del s1 and del s2. This also deleted the objects that you have been created. So, so this is what. Now, the one thing that you must be wondering that what this del method is called, why, how, basically when this del method is called, and what it does. So del method is something, it is called when the object is getting destroyed or deleted, right? So you can think of it as a destructor, although Python handle memory management automatically through garbage collection. Objects are automatically destroyed when they go out of scope. Now, for example, when the program ends or when a reference to the object is deleted, it is when we get the objects get destroyed. Now, no. I will say we get some more time. I believe we have some more time. Yeah, so we can go ahead one more step deeper here and see. We are going to say that if we have multiple constructor overloading, then Python doesn't support overloading like other language. You can say basically there is something called as overloading concept in other languages, and of course Python doesn't support this constructor overloading like other languages. And if you want to simulate that, you can use you can simulate that by using the default argument or star or double star arguments. Now for the example of that, what you can do is you can just simply say something like this. That means you create a class with the initialization of name and marks. Now here, what you did is you assign a default value to the marks, right? And this default value enable us to either enter only the name, or we can also enter the name and the marks, and the marks entered will overwrite the default value. Now this is something that help us in many ways. Like whenever we want to, you can uh, say prevent our data from getting you can say unclean, like there is, if we don't want something like null value to be present in our data, in that case what we can do is we can assign that, okay, if there is no value for certain type of you can say input or argument, we can assign it to some default value, and that indicates that okay, this argument is not going to be crash or is not going to be empty, and there should be some default value there every time it is going to be created. So with that note, we have officially, you can say, completed our init method and the life cycle of, you can say, object in Python. So if you like this video, please subscribe and comment and share your feedbacks, as well as if you have any doubt, you can share that in the comment section too. And until then, so thank you everyone. Let's meet in the next video.